Matt Holland, Belgium won 5-2 and I asked you, is this the performance of contenders? England are 1-6-1. I have to ask you the same question.
You'd have to say it would be a performance, but I think the game was far easier for England than it was for Belgium. You can't take anything away from England today. They only played what was in front of them, and they absolutely demolished Panama in that first 45 minutes. The game was done really after 15 to 20. But again, I think it will be a little bit more difficult for him in Game 3 and moving forward.
Yeah, let's put this big win in perspective as well, because this is for the first time since that 1966 World Cup final that they've actually scored more than 4 goals in a match. So in that way, the template has been laid. This team can get the goals, they can entertain us, which is not something you would say about the England teams of the past, who've mostly had 1-0, 1-1 draws, maybe off and on a 3-1 result or a 3-0 result somewhere.
Well, I think, in the past, England have had a lot of a lot of top-class individual players, and there's always been now one sort of maverick. You could talk about a Paul Gascoigne, potentially Glenn Hoddle before that, maybe the likes of Joe Cole in more recent times, before this current batch now. So now they have a number of players, Sterling's, Lingards, Marcus Rashford also, players that can link up, players that can score goals, players that can assist goals also.
Are we seeing a new template for England? A new template for England going ahead? The next 5 or 6 years looks bright, especially with the young crop coming up. They won the Under-20 World Cup, Under-17. England in the past, as you've been saying, had players, flair players, but they've been too rigid. Most often, I remember at a World Cup 4-4-2, they would go and play, get knocked out, complain about something or the other. But Gareth Southgate has got them playing fluid football, as you're saying, great link-up play. Is this the new England?
I think so. You can't take anything away from the FA and the clubs back home. They do a lot of work. There's millions and millions of pounds of investment into the academy system. It's very difficult to break through. Of course, in the Premier League, there's a lot of foreign players. But if you look at now, some of these younger players, the likes of Jadon Sancho, not in the squad, was close. Gareth Southgate did go to watch him and have a look at him. He's playing his trade in Dortmund. So there's a number of players now that are starting to just seep and come out into the open. And I think it's very positive for England moving forward.
Yes, and what was positive to see that they had rehearsed their drills perhaps in the training pitch. When I looked at this game and initially that first 30-40 minutes, I was wondering, is this a training match, or perhaps I would have better control playing on a difficulty level of 2 on my iPad playing a football game. It was ridiculously easy, and Panama were at times very comical, especially in the art of defending.
Yeah, it was a little bit unfortunate in terms of embarrassing for them at times. Even one of the penalties, more or less 2 penalties within one situation, so to speak. And they made a little bit of a mockery of themselves, unfortunately, but you're pleased for them to at least get a goal.
Yeah, and that goal, we saw them celebrate. I've never seen a team celebrate one goal, especially after being 6-0 down. But let's talk about Harry Kane, because he's jumped straight to the top of the goal-scoring charts. We brought him up yesterday when we were looking at Romelu Lukaku. So he does it a day after Lukaku gets 3. And this is the kind of performance, irrespective of the opposition, which really fires up a big centre-forward.
Well, I don't think he did, too much. In the game, and that's nice for him. I think it's nice to watch England also. Although he's a talisman for Spurs, he's not done a great deal in these 2 games, but he's getting goals. His 2 penalties were unbelievable. More or less in the same spot, and he hits them so well. So again, it's great for Harry Kane. He's top of the goal-scoring charts, and I hope he can continue that.
Okay, one final question before I move on. Looking at positives, but you think that England have a problem in Raheem Sterling? A lot of debate, should he start or should he not start? Again, great creative player, but missed sitters. And at this level, you need to take those chances, because you won't get them against, say, a Belgium.
Yeah, I've watched him, as many have, for the last probably 3 or 4 seasons. One hand, you can definitely not take anything away from him and what he's achieved. But on the other hand, for me, he's still not quite there. He's still a bit of a rough diamond. Technically, of course, he can manipulate the ball, but the quality of his execution and his passing, even his crossing at times when he pulls into wide areas, he's not quite there for me. And at this level, for them to keep progressing, I think that they have to go with Rashford.
With this performance, which we have seen, it really sets up a cracker of a contest, England versus Belgium, to decide who tops the group. As of now, everything level in terms of goals scored, goals conceded, goal difference. You don't want it to go down to fair play and draw of lots, but it looks like an open game, both playing expansive and entertaining football.
Yeah, I'm sure also that both coaching staff, they won't want to lose, for sure. They'd like to go into the round of 16 having played 3-1-3, but maybe there's a little bit of tactical involved whereby they'd be looking at who they can play in the round of 16. So, for example, what may happen is you may see a few players rested, gives the other boys a chance to go and play, and if they do lose the game or just edge it out, maybe, then they feel that they'll have an easier game in the round of 16.
I think that's what FIFA wanted to avoid when they actually started all those last games together. But that's England, 6-1 for the evening and into the knockouts. Now, just get you a result of the match that has just ended a short while back. And